Let's talk about Ballenita Beach for a little bit.
I think that we went in a different season. I think it was dry, quite dry in Ballenita compared to say San Clemente, Crucita. So consequently there weren't any mud streets like they were up there. There weren't large puddles from water not draining in the middle of the town after a rain, which was the case in San Clemente when we were there. Clearly we were there during wet season, and it's pretty much of a mess. It seemed like San Clemente seemed very small, almost like just a neighborhood, not really even a village. Also, another thing I noticed was that and I'm just using this as a way of explanation as far as the comparison thing. There's nice spots in San Clemente, kind of off away from the center. However, they're limited. But I got the feeling that Ballenita you could go back towards away from the beach, and there was lots of room. Whereas San Clemente, you've got these mountains sitting right there, like 4 or 5 blocks off the beach, and so that's it. That's it. Just the 4 blocks. That's all you get.
All right. I read sometimes people say that the beaches here in Ecuador are kind of garbagey. There's garbage around and everything. Did you see that in Ballenita?
There's a little bit of that. However, it seemed very pronounced in San Clemente, and I think that the difference was that the beachfront bars / restaurants in San Clemente were right there on the sand, and so all the refuse from the night before from the restaurant was right on the sand, and they didn't seem to really get to cleaning it super fast. So I'm not saying they never cleaned it, but they sure didn't clean it all day when we were there. So it seemed very
Or
garbagey.
the next day.
Yeah. So or the next day. So, but here, because the restaurants, talking about Ballenita when you're in the center of town where it's paved. Ballenita has the wall. It's got the rocks. It's got the sand, the reef, and then it's got the rocks and the big wall. And then you've got the restaurants up on top of the big wall where the real estate is and where the land is and where the houses are. And that's the difference, that the restaurants were up above on the wall as opposed to on the sand.
I didn't see garbage up there either, though.
And they kept it quite clean up there. So
it was a sidewalk.
Yeah, and it's in other words, it's more like the restaurants are not on the sand; they're in town, in the center. So yeah, it seemed a lot less garbagey for some reason. And I don't know. Maybe it's because in San Clemente it was a weekend, and when we were in Ballenita it was not. I mean, clearly there's a lot more activity on the weekends.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about Ballenita before we sign off?
Overall, small town coast seems about the same, but the small differences like that, it's very possible Ballenita is just as full of water puddles that don't drain during wet season as San Clemente. We just weren't in Ballenita during wet season, so we don't know. And it was very uncomfortable because you couldn't walk around, you couldn't even cross
when we were
in
San Clemente.
Yeah, you couldn't cross the sidewalk. There was too much puddles everywhere, and they were so huge you couldn't hardly get around them. And then Crucita is just typical third world, 10, little streets that look like they're about 12 feet wide, and it's all mud. During wet season, it's just mud.
I thought Crucita was the muddiest of all the beach towns so far.
The muddiest town I've ever been in.
I've never seen such a unpaved streets and mud and garbage.
The only
garbagey
paved street was the very first street, the Malecon, or the boardwalk, which was very small, but it was full of restaurant, bar, drinking establishments.
And did you notice all the garbage all over the place on the streets too, in that city?
Yeah.
I've got it on video on one of our videos. I mean, people want to know that, you know, so it's good to let them know about that. Hasta luego.
Bye-bye.